Hello, Auntie Teresa here. How are you? Tia Teresa, if you're saying it in Spanish, depending on which language you speak, English or Spanish. Because remember, I'm sending these stories out in both languages, but some kids watch them in each language, but I'm still the same person, okay? Um, I am doing okay today. A little bit bored. Am I allowed to say that? But very glad to bring you a story this week. The last time we read a story was the week of Christmas, and we read about baby Jesus and how an angel came to his mommy, Mary, and told her that she was going to have a baby, and he would be God's special gift to the world, God's own son, God as a baby. And the time before that, we talked about Noah. We read the story about Noah and all the animals and the big flood with the rain that just kept raining and raining and raining until it covered the whole world. And how God was cleaning everything and making it new and washing away all the hate and all the sadness and making things new again. So this story today is the one that comes right after that one. Okay, you ready? Are you comfortable? You sitting down? Okay, listen up. And everybody should have one of these by now. If you don't have one, let me know and I will send you one. Okay. Today's story is called A Giant Staircase to Heaven. A giant staircase to heaven. The Tower of Babel from Genesis 11. So whoever is showing you this video, your mom or your dad or your uncle or anybody who's with you, if they want to read more about it, they can go to the very first book of the Bible and read it in chapter 11. Okay, let's go. A giant staircase to heaven. Noah and his family lived in the land. And his children had children. And those children had more children. And those children had even more children. Well, you get the picture. Until there were lots of people on the earth once more. Now, back then, everyone spoke the same language. Exactly the same language. So you didn't need to learn Swahili or Japanese or anything, because you could say hello to anyone and they knew what you meant. One day, everyone was talking and they came up with an idea. Let's build ourselves a beautiful city to live in. It can be our home and we'll be safe forever and ever. And they had another idea. And let's build a really tall tower to reach up to heaven. See the picture? What do you think about their idea? Is it a good idea? Is it a bad idea? We'll have to see. We will have to see. Ooh. Yes, they said. We'll say, look at us up here. And everyone will look up at us. And we will look down on them. And then we'll know that we are something. We'll be like God. We'll be famous and safe and happy, and everything will be all right. So they got to work. Brick by brick, the tower grew higher and higher until it soared above the city, touching the sky. They built stairs. Hold on, I lost my spot. I'm sorry. Where was I? They built stairs in the tower to climb to the top. It was like a giant staircase to heaven. Look, they cheered. We're the ones. See what we can do with our very own hands. They were quite pleased with themselves. But God wasn't pleased with them. God could see what they were doing. They were trying to live without Him. But God knew that wouldn't make them happy or safe or anything. If they kept on like this, they would only destroy themselves. And God loved them too much to let that happen. So He stopped their plans. Here's the picture. Look at that. If you have your book with you, you can turn the pages with me. You can see the picture and all the people. That's pretty tall, huh? Turn the page. Ooh. I got mine upside down. Turn the page. One morning, they went to work as usual, but everything was different. Their words were all new and funny. You see, God had given each person a completely different language. Suddenly, no one understood what anyone else was saying. Someone would say, "How do you do?" And the other person thought they said, "How ugly are you?" It wasn't funny. You could be saying something nice, like, "Such a lovely morning," and get a punch in the nose because the other person, because they thought you said, "Hush up, you're boring." You couldn't even say, "Pardon?" to check if you heard right, because no one understood that word either. It wasn't easy to work together after that, as you can only imagine. People were always quarreling and fighting and getting into a dreadful muddle and becoming grumpier and grumpier until at last they were all too cross to work together, to keep on building, and just had to stop. Let me tell you, I'm enjoying this story so much that I'm making some mistakes as I read, but it's because I understand that it was difficult for them to get along because they couldn't understand each other. After that, turn the page. After that, people scattered all over the world, which is how we ended up with so many different languages to this day. You see, God knew however high they reached, however hard they tried, people could never get back to heaven by themselves. People didn't need a staircase, they needed a rescuer. Because the way back to heaven wasn't a staircase, it was a person. People could never reach up to heaven, so heaven would have to come down to them. And one day, it would. Do you know what that means? It's talking about the baby we read about last time, about baby Jesus. It's saying one day he would come, because this happened way before the baby came. I know it's kind of hard to think about that way because I read you the story in a different order, but this is a very good story. I like it. Did you like it? I like it because when they started to do the wrong thing, God stopped them to help them do what he told them to do in the first place, which was to go everywhere and tell everybody about him and how good he is. So I love you guys, and I hope you enjoyed the Jesus Storybook Bible. Every story whispers his name. I'll go ahead and read this now in Spanish and send it to those of you who speak Spanish. It's the same book, Biblia para Niños. Historias de Jesús. Cada historia susurra su nombre. Okay? So that's coming to you. I love you. Mwah. Have a good week. Oh, and Happy New Year.